Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah.
You are now host, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Mangal obeisances. Mitra, Prabhu, please kindly unmute yourself. You are muted.
Hello.
Yes, now I'm unmuted.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Salika, and you've got a field of Tulsi behind you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maharaj.
Okay.
So, Maharaj, I'm going to share the first. Normally we can't share Prabhupada, the Madhava, but I'm going to share the screen so we can just go ahead, Maharaj.
All right. Let's see. I want to lift this up a little bit. I'll be right back. Just a minute.
Okay, okay.
Okay, that's a little better.
I noticed that most of the devotees have not come online. So
more people are coming.
more people definitely will be coming. One person has just joined. If you want, maybe we can play Bhajan for some time, and then go to like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Otherwise, we can go ahead.
Well, yeah, we could. Let's look at the Sanskrit.
Okay.
Go to the verse, and I'll begin invocation, and and I'll just start talking. And once we get the group in, I'm gonna ask for audience participation.
Okay.
Like we did last time. So I want to get to know everybody. This is so fun. What time is it there in your part of the?
It's just exactly 11 o'clock Nigerian time, 10 o'clock Ghana time.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock Ghana time, GMT.
Ghana. So it's 10 o'clock evening? Or no, 10 o'clock in the morning.
GMT, but it's 11 o'clock Nigerian time. I'm in Nigeria now.
Okay. So morning. It's still morning there.
Yeah, it's still morning.
Okay. So good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Mitra.
And let's see. I see Keshava Das. Do I know you, Keshava? Have we met?
Prabhu, you can unmute yourself.
Yes. Hare Krishna, can I be heard?
Yes, I hear you.
Yes, Mitra Prabhu, Hare Krishna. We met just outside Govinda's in Mayapur a couple of years ago. I told you I was in Kenya.
Yeah.
I used the word curmudgeon. I remember that, and I see.
Yes, I remember you now. Okay, now I know exactly who you are. And you've got a Land Rover. You invited me to come tour across Africa.
Wow, what a memory! How right
Well,
you are. Very true. Very true.
I don't forget anything like that. I'm going to take you up on it. Okay, Keshava. And then I see Bhakta George Omega. Do I know you?
Dr. George Omega, you can unmute yourself. You can introduce yourself.
No, please, Prabhu. You know met before. You have not.
Haven't met yet. Okay.
He was on the class last time when you gave lectures to. He was on the class.
Okay, yeah, I was on the platform, but personally, I've not met you before.
Okay. Wow, I'm using my wife's computer. I am having a hard time hearing. I'm going to get my headphones. Maybe that'll help. I'll be right back again. I'm sorry.
It's
Trying a new location. Now remember, Keshava, you called yourself a premature curmudgeon.
Wow, what a memory! What a memory!
I don't forget stuff like that.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Okay.
Nice to see you here, Prabhu.
Yeah.
I just remember some of the devotees were saying after you spoke last week how much they appreciated your very, very personal involvement and interest in the lives of all the devotees. It was very, very memorable.
Well, one thing I learned from someone who he's a midget.
Gopal.
Yeah, you know Gopal. Yeah, that's right. He was in Mayapur also. He went to LA, he went to Hollywood, and he was in some movies. And one thing he learned in acting school was don't try to be interesting, but be interested. And I thought, hey, that's kind of what I've been doing. When I'm supposed to be out distributing books and I talk to people and what do you do? And then when they tell me, I'm genuinely asking, really, what's that like? And I just get so much into what they're about. And then eventually they'll buy the book, and it takes longer that way. But then it makes a bigger impact.
Wonderful.
And I just have so much more fun doing that. And I am interested in people. I want to hear from everybody on here. Kavi
Isn't that nice?
Karnapur, you look familiar. I think you were on last time. I did. Oh, sounds like your connection's not very good. Hard to hear you. Hi, Krishna. Haribol. Right, so let's break into this Bhagavad Gita. Let's be interested. Oh, there you are. I saw you a minute. Okay, I gotta. All right, so I'll recite the Gita. I'll recite the Sanskrit because I know back and forth it doesn't work very good with the group reciting. So first of all, Oma Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishta Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namni Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarni. All of us are born in ignorance. Everything we have, we've learned from somebody else. We have many gurus and we offer obeisances to them, and whatever we have, we're just passing along. Om Gyana Demarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya. And then Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam, Srila Rupa Goswami understood the mind of Lord Chaitanya. He was blessed by Lord Chaitanya with all of the information. Whenever we've been reading the Krishna book with a group of people on Zoom. A lot of these are brand new people. We just read the chapter of Krishna joking with his wife Rukmini, and in one of the beginning sentences, Prabhupada used the word perfect 3 times. Krishna is a perfect human being. He's in the perfection of being a husband. He was joking with his wife, and in doing so, he showed all the perfection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna did everything perfectly as a husband to Rukmini and all of his other wives in a perfect way that only God can do. So in the same way, Lord Chaitanya showed the perfection of what it's like to be a devotee, where devotion will take you. And he gave all of that understanding to Rupa Goswami and said, here, I want you to write about this. And Rupa Goswami said, I can't do this unless you bless me. I want you to put your feet on my head and say these words. I bless you to understand this and be able to explain it. And that's what Lord Chaitanya did. And that's what Rupa Goswami did. He took all of the perfection of God himself being a devotee, showing us how to be his perfect devotee. Rupa Goswami explained it all. So we say this, Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Rupa Goswami has understood Mano Avishtam, the mind of Lord Chaitanya, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, with the idea of giving this information to the whole world. Swayam Rupa, so Rupa Goswami, Kada Mayam, Dadati Swa Padantikam. And then the last line says, when will I get the shelter of his lotus feet? Then the next one, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. I offer my obeisances, my respects to Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, the person who is at the feet of Lord Vishnu. Krishna Prishtaya, who's very dear to Lord Krishna. Bhutale, there's that same Bhu, earth. He's on earth. In 1977, in November, after Prabhupada passed away, we would sing that song in the kirtan, and it was hard to sing it because we were thinking, Bhutale, he's not here on earth anymore. Can we really sing that song in honesty? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale. Just those two syllables. Like sometimes the kirtan leaders for months after Prabhupada left, singing any songs about Prabhupada or about the Guru. The kirtan leader sometimes just couldn't finish the line, and because his voice would start breaking and tears would come to his eyes. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Then the next line, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini. And so just like Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada wrote this second prayer himself. Namaste Saraswati Devi. He says, I'm the servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And then Prabhupada says what his mission is. Gauravani Pracharini. Preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani. And to spread it throughout the Western world. And now, not just the Western world, but back to India and to Africa. This is so fun. I get to talk to people across the world. Thanks for inviting me. All right. So now let's get to the verse. And all right, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 15. And this is also really, Arjuna is really in trouble. We need trouble to get insights. Somebody said something recently. I think it was, first you get insults, and then you get insights. So Arjuna is really, he's been through a lot of insults, and he's about ready to like, okay, now I'm ready to fight back. Everything is in position to fight back, but then, oh no, I don't want to fight these people, but I can't get to those people without first killing these people. Forget it, it's not worth it. I'm going to walk away from this. It seemed like a good thing to do, but then Krishna says, no. Nope. We're going to take a deeper look at what is dharma. So, chapter 2, text 15. Yang hina vyatayantyete purusham purusharshava samadhuka sukham dhiram somritatvaya kalpate. And yam, one to whom, he, certainly, na, never, vyatayanti, are distressing, ete, all these. Scroll down a little bit. Let's look at the translation while we do this word for word breakdown. Can you do that, Salika?
Word for word translation?
We want to, yeah, translation, there we go. O best among men, Arjuna, not disturbed by happiness and distress, steady in both, certainly eligible for liberation. Okay. Person who's not disturbed by happiness and distress. We're going to look at some more. Yam hi na vyataya. I'm hearing an echo. Somebody needs to mute. Yam, one to whom, he, certainly, na, never, vyatayant, are distressing, ete, all these. Purusham, to a person, Purusharshava, Purusha Rishabha, or best among men. Sama, unaltered, Dukkha, in distress, Sukham, and happiness, Dhiram, patient. So this is a nice line. Sama, Dukkha, Sukham, Dhiram. You're patient and unaltered in dukkha and sukha, in distress and happiness. Sa mritvaiva sa he amritatvaya, for liberation, kalpate, is considered eligible. So just by keeping your cool, you're eligible for liberation. Do you have a special term in Africa for keeping your cool? Anybody have a suggestion? I mean, keeping your cool, that's been around for a long time. Have any African ways of saying that? There must be. Maybe it's a bit early in the morning for everyone to come up with. I want to hear some slang.
No, keeping cool is a slang word. It's not really known outside of North America.
Yeah, that's why I want to hear, the way you guys say it. Let's hear something
just explain what it means. Keeping your cool means not becoming hot-tempered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's throw out different phrases for this, everybody. I want to hear the way you guys say it. Kesava's eloquent and educated. We've got a whole panel of experts here.
Yep. It depends on the local language or the way people perceive it.
Mm-hmm. We've got all kinds of ways of insulting people and saying they've got a short fuse. Okay, let's try it that way. How do you say someone doesn't keep an even keel? Someone does not have control over their emotions.
Even keel is another word that's not known outside North America. It's just outside of the sailing community, you'd be pressed to find people who know the meaning.
Okay.
Who are not.
Good. Translate it for everybody. Come on, let's get this thing going. I want to hear.
Keep an even keel means to remain balanced, equipoised in the midst of the greatest difficulty, as the Gita says.
Okay. All right.
Maintain one's composure.
All right. How's that work with everybody? How would you say this, other people on the call? I'm only seeing Kesava's ear right now. Anybody have a suggestion?
Keeping cool, right?
Yes. Do they say that there?
Well, there are so many slangs.
That's what I'm looking for. I want to hear some slang.
I'm trying to look for one.
Everybody's shy this morning. Everybody's keeping it. Come on.
I can just think of one now.
Keeping it cool can mean being in the mode of goodness.
Mode of goodness, okay. Definitely. That's a good reference. All right, we'll go with that, and we'll keep our cools and keep our cools. Is that right? Plural. Kesava's going to correct me for everything here.
Sorry. Sorry. Old habits die hard.
So let's read the purport, and everybody take a turn reading one sentence from the purport, and I'm going to stop every once in a while and say, wait a minute, why did he say that? What is he getting at here? So let's just get this going, and I want to hear from everybody.
Okay. So so how do we manage that? Should I call based on the names on the screen, or how do we go about that?
Yeah, sure. You just pick on anybody. Everybody turn your camera on so you can see if you're ready.
Okay. I go first, and then
Okay.
Yep. Most of the cameras are off. Dr. Hager, you can. Okay, I'll read the first sentence so that somebody else can take clue.
Yes.
The purport, the purport. Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person for liberation. This is what I just read. So
Okay.
someone else has to start from here.
Who's ready? Sahadev looks ready.
Sahadev, you can go ahead.
In the Varnashram institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order sannyas, is a painstaking situation.
Good. So,
But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopt the science order of life in spite of all difficulties.
okay, the next sentence is this. Ganeshakshu Prabhu. Okay, Gayatri David Dasim Mataji, can you read?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Can you read can you see the next next sentence?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Sounds like she's kind of busy.
Okay. Okay, Judge Omega, are you there? Can you see the highlighted sentence?
I think Judge Omega says in a very busy area also. So I can read now.
Okay, you go ahead and read, Prabhu.
The difficulties usually arise in relationship to give up the connect spiritual.
Network is not strong.
Network is not strong. I think somebody needs to read that again.
The difficulty usually arises from having to severe family relationships to give up the connection of wife and children.
Okay, Giridhari Puja, are you there?
Yes,
Giridhari
Prabhu, Hare
Puja.
Krishna.
Yeah, please go ahead and read the next sentence.
But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duty as Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere even if it's difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons.
Good. And the last sentence, starting from Lord Chaitanya, who is going to read?
Keshava Prabhu should read.
Keshava Prabhu, you can go ahead and read this one.
Okay, I'm just using my book because my phone screen is very small. My computer is broken. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24. How far do I read to look after this? Took sannyas at the age of 24, and his dependent's young wife as well as old mother had no one else to look after them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I just read the last one.
Yep.
Yet for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage.
Okay, so my question to our panel of experts, and it sounds like some of you guys are multitasking, which is understandable. It happens on these calls. My question is, he's talking about being steady in both happiness and distress, tolerating the onslaughts of happiness and distress. He uses that phrase, onslaughts of happiness. Isn't that awful when you have an onslaught of happiness? You have to tolerate it. And then he goes into something about sannyas. Now, where did that come from? What does that have to do with Arjuna? Does anyone have any idea why you think Prabhupada's bringing this into the purport? What does that have to do with Arjuna's situation? Sannyas. Taking sannyas is a painstaking situation. But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order of life, in spite of all difficulties. Difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships, to give up the connection of wife and children. So what does that have to do with Arjuna? That seems like the exact opposite thing. Arjuna was considering being a sannyasi and just leaving the battlefield. Why does Prabhupada bring this up? Anybody have an idea?
I think Prabhupada is bringing that up to tell that even if one situation is not, even if one duty is not so pleasing, one has to still carry it out, because situation of Arjuna is that he has to fight, even though he was not ready to fight. I don't know, maybe.
Okay, I can try. I think Krishna was bringing that up to emphasize the fact that in every state of life, either being a sannyasi, maybe renouncing, maybe grihastha life, in every life situation, there's always some inconveniences that's always there.
Yes, you and Sahadev have nailed it down firmly.
Oh, I haven't spoken yet, Prabhu.
Where was that you speaking?
I think you're referring to Kavikanapura.
Kavikanapura.
Yeah.
Kavikana. Oh, okay. I just see a couple of people on my screen. I can scroll it along. I saw where Kavikarnapur. Where? Oh, there you are. Okay. Salika and Kavikarnapur nailed it down. And let's see, where did you go? Sahadev. Okay, there you are.
I would say it is not just so much about sannyas per se, but at the age at which he took sannyas.
Who took sannyas?
Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was very young, his wife was very young, and that is the age you would think you want to really enjoy your marital life. And yet he had to renounce for the betterment of the general populace.
Okay, yeah, that was also brought up. And he left his wife and mother alone with no one to take care of them. His wife was a widow. It just seems like what an irresponsible thing to do. And that must have weighed on him too. I mean, it would weigh on me if I just left my wife and mother alone and I was the only one taking care of them. I did it just for the sake of sannyas. That's a real extreme example. Lord Chaitanya is an extreme example. And okay, as the other two, now I don't see them on the screen, so I lost track of the names. Salika and Kavikarnapur. They said, yes, in any order of life, you're going to face some difficulties. And yeah, in the next sentence, it says, similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere, even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. So it's just part of the job. Imagine if you were in the police force and you're going around arresting criminals, and then you come into some situation and there's somebody that's a relative of yours, and you're like, oh no. I know some people that were on the police force, and they had to they couldn't work close to home. It was just too hard because there are too many of their close friends and relatives that they had to deal with, and they felt like they couldn't enforce justice. It was just too hard for them because these people are close to me. So that's always going to be there. Do we have any police people on this call? Anybody in that realm where you have to enforce justice? Okay, I don't see any hands going up or anything. So Arjun, yeah, when it hits close to home, you have a job. Yes, we have to punish criminals. A judge also has to be free from these kinds of feelings. In politics, that's called nepotism, when you show favor to relatives. And Krishna doesn't want Arjun to do that. People that have acted improperly, they have to be punished, and it doesn't matter who they are. Oh, we got some help here. Here's the verse. 2:15, if you want to look at it. This is my wife, Mahara. Everybody wave and say hi well to Mahara.
Hare Krishna, your what?
She's on a call every morning with some people chanting japa.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance.
This is Kavi Karnapur. And how come I'm not seeing? Okay. All right. So where was I? So Arjun had to face all of these difficulties. And so that's the, oh, sorry, I had the turned off. Now everybody say Haribol.
Haribol. Haribol. I think it's louder now.
Yeah, Haribol.
Haribol.
So that's the thing that holds us down. We have to face the onslaughts of happiness or distress. And those two onslaughts, we even have to tolerate happiness sometimes. Sometimes in a happy situation, we can do the wrong thing. So both of those things need to be tolerated. And the main thing that holds us down is our duty. We have to carry out our duty, no matter if it brings us happiness or distress. And so someone that is able to do that and not be disturbed by it. Now that's the big thing, not being disturbed, not getting excited, keeping your cool, maintaining your composure, staying in the mode of goodness. What other words did we come up with? Keeping an even keel. Keshava said that's not right for all audiences. Anyway, if you're able to do that, he says, you're eligible for liberation. Now liberation, that's a big thing. To be free from all kinds of miseries. Do you see anything in there you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've got a whole other thing I'm going to open up here from the Krishna book. Because in our Krishna book reading, we came across this really nice speech given by Balaram to Rukmini. Let's see if I can find the picture. I got this old Krishna book, original one. You're going to want to look at the screen in just a minute here. No, it's not in this volume. Oh, shucks, the picture's not in here. But it's when Rukmini gets kidnapped by Krishna, and then they are chased by Rukmini's brother, Rukmi, and he makes all of these threats against Krishna, and then Krishna fights with him. And Krishna's about to kill him, and Rukmini says, don't kill him, he's my brother. And Krishna says, all right, well, I'll punish him by giving him a haircut. And so he gives him, cuts off half of his mustache, a snip of hair and here, and a snip of hair there. Then when Balaram arrives he says, "What have you done? This is our brother-in-law. You shouldn't treat him like that." And then he speaks to Rukmini and says, and he gives a whole lesson that's so similar to the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Are you guys able to listen to this? I know if I start reading things, it's hard to pay attention, but this is so good. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. He gives several examples on how whatever is happening to you is not really touching you. Gives the example of the sun. During the day, the sun comes and it causes, he uses the phrase integration and disintegration. Things come together, the sunlight causes things to grow, and then the sunlight causes things to decompose and disintegrate. But the sun is not touched by any of those things. He said similarly, the soul. He says the Atma within the body is just like the sun shining on everything. Because of the Atma, the body comes into integration and then goes through all of the changes and then disintegration. When the sun goes to the other side of the world, so this side of the world is in darkness, all of the things that were created by the sun still continue to exist. So in the same way, when we leave the body, we leave behind a body, and we go off somewhere else. This is so similar to what's going on in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. Then here's another really good one. Waxing and waning of the moon have nothing to do with the moon. When the moon waxes, we falsely think that the moon is developing. And when it wanes, we think the moon is decreasing. Actually, the moon is always the same. It has nothing to do with growing and shrinking. So we as the soul have nothing to do with the happiness and distress of the body. So what do you think of that? Is that something you can really live with? Is that going to solve all of your problems? If someone is suffering a lot, what do you guys think? Our panel of experts here. If someone is suffering great pain and you go to them and say, "You're not suffering pain, that's just your body." Is that gonna go well with them? What do you think?
I have a problem with that. I know I am not the body. I am in the body. Yet, whatever happens to the body somehow affects me. I mean, some may say things are affecting me because I have attachment to the body. But I don't think that is the case. It's affecting me because I am in the body. And even though the body is material, it's still part and parcel of Krishna's energy. And my rebuttal to that statement by Lord Balaram, of course, who am I to rebut Lord Balaram's statements? But what I'm trying to say is Mother Sita prayed to Lord Ram that Prabhu, my Lord, never ever again should you enact such pastime, because even though it's a pastime, but Mother Sita really went through the pains and the agony she did go through. She felt them. It wasn't like she was saying, "Oh, we're just performing a drama, so we're not feeling it." Because even those who are performing drama, even though they're performing drama, but they feel the actions and the movements in the dramatization. And so even though I am in the body, I'm not the body, but what affects the body eventually affects me.
Okay, I've never heard that speech from Sita, but I totally agree with it. Have you heard that before? Do you want to say anything?
It kind of reminds me in some ways of the stage of Nishta. And when we reach the stage of Nishta, we aren't as bothered by things like, even though we have, well, it's mostly about material desires, having material desires, and I guess it could relate to suffering and distress and happiness. But when you're in the stage of Nishta, you're not as affected. You're kind of like, they're going on, but you're able to tolerate and be more like aware that you don't really want them. You'd rather have Krishna, and you try to focus on Krishna more, and you are more absorbed in Krishna. It's not like it's a forced stage. It comes automatically, but it seems like getting to the stage of Nishta is so much better because you can actually be understanding, well, okay, these sufferings are coming, or these desires are there, but I don't act on them. So it seems like it's kind of like you can be in the stage of Nishta and be less affected by things, be more tolerant. And then you're also you really feel like, well, this is happening to me because Krishna's trying to teach me something. And so you try to learn the lesson, and when you learn the lesson, then he takes it away, and he gives you something else to give you another lesson that you can learn. So it just helps you to be more Krishna conscious. So it seems like we should all strive to get to the stage of Nishta. And that comes from, really focusing in on our sadhana each day. So I don't know.
Thank you, man.
But I think in the same Ramayana, it's quite interesting that Lord Balaram is the very person making such statements, because it is the same Lord Balaram who came as an older brother to Krishna, because he didn't really enjoy so much about the role being Lakshman.
Yeah.
When he was Lakshman, as a younger brother, he had to do so much. So he said, no, I'm not coming as a younger brother anymore. I'm coming as an older brother. So even though these are transcendental pastimes, but the fact is that we feel what we feel. It's just temporary, but it's real that we feel it.
It's real what we feel. Hey, there's a good one. Or is it always real what we feel? Sometimes because actually Balaram's whole speech is you're feeling things that aren't real. He concludes everything. He gives a few more examples, and then he finishes by saying, "Sweet smiling Rukmini, do not be aggrieved by false notions caused by ignorance. Only because of false notions does one become unhappy. But one can immediately remove this unhappiness by discussing the philosophy of actual life. Be happy on that platform only." So this is like a really high understanding. And it's like Mahara was saying, it comes with practice. And as we practice, we get stronger. And the onslaughts of happiness and distress they don't affect us as much. So many times we read about, last night we read about the Dvivida gorilla attacking Balaram. And he punched Balaram in the chest. And to Balaram, it felt like an elephant being hit by a flower garland. It didn't touch him at all, like hitting someone with a flower garland. It had no effect on him. So as we become stronger, I'll read this again. Do not be aggrieved by false notions. So what is a notion? Tell us, Keshava. What does notion mean?
Yeah. Sorry.
I think a notion just means a perception that may not be based in reality.
Okay. And all the things that we read about the changes of the moon and our condition, is that based on reality?
Prabhu, I'm not the person who should be answering these kind of questions. You know, we've got men and women of far greater intellect on this forum than me. They're the ones who should be.
Okay. Well, Kavi Karnapur is laughing. He's ready. Tell us.
He knows it's right.
No, Prabhu. The thing is that from after reading Srila Prabhupada's books and from my own realization, I've gathered, like Mother was saying, Mataji was saying about Nishta. My own realization is that to come to the level of Nishta is very difficult, because once you come to Nishta, your journey in spiritual life becomes very smooth and fast. So Anatta Nivriti is actually the stage where we got stuck. You know, separating the shaft from the rating is very difficult. It's a painstaking situation. So it's a very tough stage that many sadhakas get stuck. So to come to Nishta is it's a very once you get there, it's like on an express highway. You just move very fast. You know, Baba Bhakti, and you are there. So that is it. So to really be able to differentiate what is reality from illusion, you know, it's not very, unless you're on that stage of Nishta, you cannot really do it very clearly, you know. So we all got stuck in the Anatta Nivriti.
Yeah, we all have to go through Anartha Nivriti, that's for sure. Nobody gets out of that stage unless you're given Kripa mercy, which is very rare, and we should all work. We should all give our great endeavor and act as if we're, you know, like it's all due to us, but we know that Krishna's mercy is what's getting us to any stage, and we all do have to go through Anartha Nivriti. It's just part of the program. Nobody gets out of it. So yeah, but eventually we'll get to Nishta. It depends on how much we surrender, you know. We could take a really long time or we can go faster. It depends on our everyday activities and how much we want material things. And so we all have to, you know, think about our days and what we do and what we can eliminate. And we have to be practical too. We can't just try to be really renounced. And because if we're doing something, if we're renouncing stuff that we're not ready to, then we'll become hard-hearted. So we don't want to do that. We want to be kind and loving to everyone. And so we have to be practical, what we need. We have to take what we need. And but the extra things that we don't really need that are distracting us in our sadhana, then we have to try to give those things up. And we have to, you know, pray to Krishna for that because we need help. So yeah, but we can get to all those different stages. We can see from the great devotees that we know they're at a stage where we would all like to be. That's why we listen to them and we follow them, because we know we can attain it. It just takes time, but we keep trying. And nobody should sit around thinking like, you know, that they're gonna win the lottery. Just like when you think, oh, I'm gonna win the lottery, so I'm not gonna go to work or do things. But no, we should never act like, you know, it's just gonna come, so I don't really have to try. But no, we should try really hard and give it our best. And wait for the mercy. We're all waiting in line for mercy. So we can't just think, hey, how come he's getting more mercy than me? I joined before him or she. And as soon as we think that, then we have to go to the end of the line. So we're all begging for mercy here. We're all students forever.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on the. I think Kavi Prabhu brought something very interesting. Trying to rise above the stage of anantanarviti. And I was just remembering a verse in the Upanishad where it is mentioned that one has to study both vidya and avidya simultaneously to be able to come to the stage of devotional life. And I'm just contemplating in our realistic day-to-day devotional life, what are those ingredients that has to be put into the practice of bhakti that brings you faster to getting that kripa? Because kripa is something that you don't acquire by your primary endeavor. Yes, occasionally, maybe some rare cases, someone by endeavoring might get some kripa, but in most cases, it is costless. Bhakti is said to be costless. So I'm wondering, practical life of dealing with day-to-day bodily activities, requirements, and then practice of devotional service. How do one really cross?
So we're talking about anartha nivritti, which means, artha means something good, something valuable. And anartha means it's not good. And nivritti, getting rid of it. So getting rid of bad things. But then on the other hand, what would be the opposite is artha pravritti. Artha means valuable things. Pravritti means increasing. So we do that. We focus on that. Anartha nivritti happens automatically. So we embrace what's good. And this mercy that you talked about, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It just seems to, you never know where it is. It just falls from the sky and like, oh, there it is. But what is our artha pravritti, the thing that we're supposed to be doing? What we're supposed to be doing is running around looking for that mercy, trying to put ourselves in front of it. It's broadcasting. Prabhupada gives the example that the sunlight is shining and it's there for everybody. Anybody can go out and soak up sunshine. You know, when it's cold, it feels really good. In the morning, you go out in the sun and it feels really good. Anybody can do that, but you have to do it. You have to put yourself in front of it. And so how do we put ourselves in front of that mercy? Tell me, Salika, what do we do? How do we get in front of it?
Yeah, maybe I'll share a practical situation recently.
Okay.
That happened, and maybe that's
what we want, something practical.
Yeah. Okay. We are aware about the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. And there are activities of devotional activities in the neighboring states, particularly in Nigeria. There is a high level of insecurity. Apart from the pandemic situation, there is a high level of insecurity that it becomes almost impossible to go on a small journey, right? Now there is a call for bhakti activity, devotional service in the other state or in another neighboring town. And a devotee has to decide, should I go for that devotional activities or should I just maintain my devotional activities where I am and I forgo that activities because of the fear? Now, someone, from two perspectives, someone is thinking that, okay, this is bodily concept of life. You're thinking, you're grossly in the body concept of life because you're being afraid of death, of facing the bandits on the road, facing the COVID-19 exposure. You should just be beyond that because you know the scriptures. You know you're not the body. You know your spirit soul. So you just go ahead. And so in that situation, yes, we know we're not the body, but then the reality in practical life is that these situations are there. So what should one do?
There's so much online. There's so much Krishna's providing with Zoom now. So many lectures, so much Krishna consciousness that you don't have to go to anything. It's not like you're on the bodily conception if you go to, if you don't go. That's a person's choice, you know, and we should never criticize someone if they don't go or if they do go. It's not for us to judge someone. Everyone has their own, you know, they can make their own decisions, but if you feel it's dangerous to go, that's a valid excuse because you just want to keep serving Krishna, and no, you don't want to die. You don't want to get sick. If you get sick, you won't be able to serve. It'll be really hard. It's very hard when you're sick to do things. And there's so much Krishna consciousness online that you don't really have to feel guilty that you're not doing anything. There's so much opportunity.
Thank you. I think like that also, but I just needed to get a clarification.
And if someone's judging us, it's just let them judge because it's not really our problem, it's their problem. And you just have to be a humble devotee and just say, you know, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And you never have to be emotional about it. You don't have to react, you know, just end everything by saying, I'm so sorry you feel that way. And I hope that you have a wonderful time. Just leave it at that. Whatever you want to do, as long as you're doing something Krishna conscious, it's okay.
Thank you.
As long as it's, you know, something in line with our acharyas and stuff.
So Prabhu said,
I understand the need. I understand the need to like want to go with a lot of people and a lot of devotees. We just had a gathering at our house yesterday, but everyone met outside and yeah, take precautions, and it was great. Yeah, we're getting close to the end of it. It seems like. But so what is the simple practical thing that we can do to put ourselves in front of the mercy that we talked about? Because that's what's going to move us along. Anybody want to say something? Sahadev, Kavi Karnapur. I see a Bhai on there, but I don't know if you're able to talk.
I'm not 100% sure about it, but I would say we just have to have the desire to be greedy for the mercy, if there is anything as such as mercy.
He's working as a nurse.
I do not actually accept that what Krishna does for us is mercy. I think it is more of an assistance, because to my little understanding of the English language, mercy should mean that I do not really have to do anything to deserve it. But in devotional service, I have to do something to deserve it. So if I'm doing something to deserve it, how do you consider that as a mercy? But if I'm doing something and seeing my effort, you assist me, that is assistance. It's not mercy. But I think we have to be greedy.
Yeah, but also we should never think that we're really doing anything, because what we get is way more than what we put out. You know, when we whatever we get, it's like, wow, I didn't do very much to deserve this. So that's the mercy.
Yes, that is there, but that is because I did something. I did like 10%, and Krishna rewarded me with 90%, and now have 100%. But Krishna probably wouldn't have given me that 90% if I didn't do anything at all.
But guess
Like
what?
In the Christian tradition, they have the saying, heaven helps those who help themselves.
But guess what? Bhakti does you. You don't do bhakti. Japa, chanting, does you. The holy name comes and chants on your tongue. You don't chant it. It looks like you're doing everything, but bhakti's doing you.
Well, if that is the case, then I shouldn't be punished for anything, because Krishna himself also says in the Gita that the soul thinks himself is the doer, but the super soul is the doer. So if the super soul is the doer and I did something wrong, then I should not be punished. The super soul should be punished.
Did you ever hear that verse? Tate nukampam shishikshama.
Shishikshama. Vijane kritam vipakam.
Why don't you say it?
Oh, well, I don't know where you're going with it.
Oh, yeah, that we should all, with folded hands, we should say, whatever's happening to me is what I deserve from my past sinful activities. So, you know, I deserve worse, and, you know, let me suffer these things so that I can come to you.
Yeah.
Oh, and that verse ties into the verse we just read in the Gita, because that ends with, such a person, liberation becomes their rightful claim. Someone who has that mentality that everything that's coming to me, you're giving me much more than what I really deserve. And all the troubles that are coming, the devotee feels like, actually, I deserve much worse. And Krishna's just giving me a small little sample of what I actually have coming to me. So someone who has that mentality, they mukti pade sadaya bhak. Liberation becomes their inheritance, just by keeping that mentality. So that was a really good question, Sahadev. That was so cool. I know where you're coming from.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your nice, wonderful, interactive section. And I was just trying to say something regarding to what Sahade Prabhu is saying, that this the process of devotional service is a very scientific process, and because if we look at in the Krishna book, we were showing the Krishna book the other time. Krishna was using Karma Mimamsa to convince Nanda Maharaj. That's right. To convince Nanda Maharaj to do about the Govardhan Puja. So sometimes we can look at it in one way or the other about, okay, if I don't do anything, Krishna don't give me anything. But if we can look that Bhakti is completely different. You know, it's like it's a very special scientific process that you need to attract how do I put it? Because Krishna, you just have to show some effort. Just like they give example of Mother Yashoda trying to bind Krishna. Krishna, because not everything becomes like robotic or machines. You know, okay, you don't do if you don't press any button, nothing's happen. But there have to be some desire, proper say desire, to achieve Krishna. So that desire is what brings the costless mercy. I don't know. I was just trying to put something together. I don't know. Maybe I'm making some sense, you know.
That's a good. Oops. Oh, that's a really good pastime, because Mother Jasoda did try to bind Krishna. I mean, she did bind him eventually, but after great effort and mercy came. So there's two. That's why they were always 2 fingers too short, every rope and ribbon, because that was the message that she gave great effort, and finally Krishna said, okay, he's going to give us mercy and let him be tied up. So that was a really good example.
Wow, what a good group.
Prabhu, I would say, well, first of all, I would say thank you. Thank you for the contribution. But I would say that Krishna consciousness is scientific and not scientific at the same time. Because when we say something is science, you get the same result if you put the application together all the time. In other words, if you add 2 atoms of hydrogen and oxygen, you're always going to have water. But I don't think that is the case with devotional service.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, no matter how we do what we do, there is no guarantee that we're going to attain Krishna. It is only when Krishna himself decides that he's going to accept us. So
That's
in
correct.
that sense, I do not find that to be scientific. Science.
Wow, you guys are bringing out all kinds of good points. I'm gonna have to fly out there, and Keshava's gonna drive me around in his Land Rover. So,
thank you, Mitra Prabhu.
he promised me. He said he was gonna do that.
I'll catch you on Facebook.
Okay. And what you said, Prabhupada addresses that in a purport in the first canto. It's toward the end of Narada Muni speaking to Vyasadeva, and he talks about freedom. And he says the whole principle of bhakti hinges on freedom. It's the pivotal point. And that bhakti is free to act on anyone. Anyone is free to take up bhakti. And also bhakti, even if you do everything right, bhakti is free to not bestow herself upon you, even if you do everything right. So yeah, you're right. It's scientific and it's not scientific. But guaranteed, if you do it, eventually you're gonna get bhakti if we practice it.
There's that last verse.
Or something like
Last verse in the Shikshastakam.
I agree with you, Prabhuji.
There's also that last verse in the Shikshastakam, where, you know, Lord Chaitanya's, it's actually Radharani speaking to Krishna, but Lord Chaitanya's saying it that, you know, you can handle me roughly by your embrace or make me brokenhearted, but you're still my worshipable Lord unconditionally. So, you know, we're devotees should always think like that.
Yeah.
So bring it back to the test of today, Prabhu. Not to be disturbed in the face of happiness or distress. And looking at the various points that devotees have raised, we see Lord Krishna in some of his pastimes. Let's talk about Lord Ramchandra. Although we know that Lord Ramchandra was playing his pastimes, but Lord Ramchandra was at a point in time lamenting for losing Sita. So how do we know the devotees' level of realization? Because sometimes, let me even remember there was a pastime of Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan in the early days, and then Prabhupada was said to be very, very moody. He was very angry, and the devotees were asking him that Prabhupada, they never expected Prabhupada to be such disturbed, and Prabhupada said, I think that was when we were building the Ramana Reti project, and Prabhupada said they were stealing my money, so I definitely I'll be very disturbed. So how do we not get disturbed when seemingly we have experienced this realistic situation that brings about disturbance?
Yeah, well, Prabhupada, for one thing, he was not, it wasn't his money. he felt like this is Krishna's money. I'm protecting Krishna's money. And we were talking about, we were discussing anger on Sunday with another group. And we talked about Prabhupada's anger, how when anger completely takes you over, you lose all control. This is Tamagun and Rajagun. But because the question was, is there such thing as anger in Sattvagun? Is that possible? And so then we discussed like, okay, well, Prabhupada's situation. When he had anger, it was not controlling him. He was controlling it. He was saying, now is the time I should get angry to make a point. And so he would get angry at a devotee, and that devotee would feel like crushed and humbled. And then after the lesson was over, Prabhupada was calm. Everything was okay. But when anger completely takes you over and you're swept away and you do things and later on you're thinking, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that. That's Tamagun, Rajagun. So let's see, how does that tie into what you were saying? So Lord Ram feeling things, Prabhupada feeling things. Yeah, we feel things, but these are spiritual emotions. Ideally, that's where we're going with this. So it's not that we give up emotions. We don't give up happiness and distress, but then there's the transcendental side. But in relation to material things, yeah, we want to rise above it. Here, this is how this ends. Balaram addressed his sister-in-law. Sweet, smiling Rukmini, do not be aggrieved by false notions caused by ignorance. Only because of false notions does one become unhappy. But one can immediately remove this unhappiness by discussing the philosophy of actual life. Be happy on that platform only. Now here is how she responded. After hearing such enlightening instructions from Sri Balaram, Rukmini immediately became pacified and happy and adjusted her mind, which was very much afflicted by the degraded position of her brother Rukmi. So a little mental adjustment, although Prabhupada says chanting Hare Krishna, there's no need for any mental adjustment. But for dealing with other things, we need to adjust things and look at things from a different perspective. Just like the example of the moon going through the different phases, from our point of view, from our perspective, the moon looks like it's shrinking. But the moon's always the same size. So from our point of view, it looks like it's getting smaller. But with knowledge, with information, we realize, oh, it just looks like that. It's not really that bad. And similarly, a lot of our problems in life are really not that bad. They look really awful. But then 10 years down the road, you look back at it and like, actually, it really hurt when it was happening, but that brought some good things into my life. A lot of times it happens like that. And so we kind of have a saying, when we make a big plan and we try to do it and it just doesn't go through, everything goes wrong, she'll say, what do you say?
Well, there'll be some good coming out of it.
Yeah, well, usually you say, well, it looks like Krishna's got a better plan than we did. Really, she does say that, usually.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
So say it, tell them, so they get to hear it from you.
Well, basically, Krishna's got something better going on. Like somebody couldn't find a house and they were really distressed. They were looking for a house. And I said, well, that just means Krishna's got something better for you. Or someone can't find a partner and it doesn't work out. I say, well, that means Krishna's got someone better for you.
All right, where's all the ladies on this call? I see their pictures. Are you guys too busy with other things going on, multitasking? We want to see you.
Yeah, look, David.
Turn your cameras on if you can.
David, Dealer.
My wife is wondering, are there any ladies?
David, all of the mothers are not showing their face.
I just got off my work.
Oh, Atma, are you the one in Ohio?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, in Columbus.
Okay. Oh, and Rasalela's driving. Man, everybody's so busy. Okay.
Thank you for getting on.
I'm also driving. I'm driving home.
Okay. Yeah, be careful. Watch the road.
Yes, cool.
All right. Yeah, we get it. You gotta take your hearing on the run. But when you can, I really like to have everybody just like sitting and focused and interaction. It really, you get a whole lot more out of it. And I guarantee I'm not just gonna give a lecture that you have to listen to. We want to get some back and forth. All right, so it's been an hour. It's been over an hour. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prabhu. This is a wonderful interactive class. I really appreciate it. I do not see any hands up, so I assume there is any question. The class has been very interactive, and everyone has been given opportunity to be able to share their views on the topic of the day. So, that being the case, maybe at this point I will request all of the devotees to unmute themselves and let us chant a very wonderful, powerful, and appreciate Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
We're very grateful for your presence.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
All right. Well, what a nice group. Hearing all of your comments, it's like getting a massage on my Atma. So let's do this again. And someday when the world comes back to normal, maybe I'll come out. Because Keshava did say he'd drive me all over.
We'll be very glad to have you in America, in West Africa.
You know, it's a great big continent.
Yes. Surely, Prabhu, you should come. Keshava Prabhu is going to bring you because he has so much interest in coming. So he's going to arrange for you. And he will drive you around with his Range Rover. You know? He will bring you to
Okay. Get all the musicians. Want to do some music with you guys. All right.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Lokadevi, Gayatri, Rasalila, Gudari Puja, Abhay Das,
Hare Krishna.
Bhakti George, Narayani, Keshava, Shalika.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, just a minute. I'm just about done.